Why not?
I'm just not flexible enough. I've been watching Joe Rogan's podcast, so I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
4-hour podcast. You're.
We'll do some whiskey and cigars like in the middle of the day.
I mean, you might get kicked out of the space if we did that.
That's true. We can do that.
Keenan, I'm curious, man. Did you always want to do this?
I did. So before I was a therapist, I was doing student ministry, and I found myself doing more like one-on-one conversations like this, and I was like, man, this is what I need to be doing. And then I actually saw a counselor myself and was like, man, this is so life-giving. So I've always felt like this is my ministry that I need to do. So I've always just felt like this is what God's called me to do. So I wouldn't say like be a therapist has always been a calling, but just helping people develop one-on-one has always been something I think I'm wired to do. Yeah.
Is there a difference between a therapist and a mental health counselor, or?
Usually like the mental health counselors and therapists are kind of like, that phrase is used interchangeably, but sometimes you can have like occupational therapist or like a physical therapist, but most of it's still like just taking care of people. So I usually will use like counselor, therapist, shrink. I'm not that qualified yet, but I wouldn't call myself a coach.
Okay.
Like some people use the term coaching. I wouldn't do that. Consulting, maybe, but still no. I go with therapist or counselor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this now?
I've been like a professional for probably a little over a year. And then before that, like I've been in grad school for about 4 years, just doing it like for free or just in training to do it. But been professional for about a year or so.
Now, we were talking while I was setting up that obviously you rent this space. This is an office. There's a practice downtown that you're a part of as well. So you have another place that you practice. When I was putting together the idea for talking to you, I hadn't thought about the fact that there's an entrepreneurial side of this business.
Absolutely. When
you were getting started, or when you felt like you were being called into this, did you know that there was an entrepreneurial side to this, or was that kind of like after the fact you're like, oh crap, I got to learn how to run a business?
I think I had an idea. Like I was like hearing about people doing it, and like it's kind of like watching a football game, like watching football and be like, oh, I could do that. And now that I'm like in the game, like, oh shoot, I'm doing it. Like, so like just being able to, like, I kind of knew it was there, but now that I'm like living it, breathing it, actually doing it every day, it's pretty exciting. And it's also like really stressful because like the way I operate within my business is all of my people I see have freedom to come and go as they please. I don't like make them see me. I don't go like, hey, like you have to see me 12 times in a row. I go every time I have a session, I'll end it with, hey, would you like to meet again? And about 9 times out of 10, they go, yeah, absolutely. And so it's just a lot of like just putting in good work, being consistent, and then just providing, just being my genuine self that they wouldn't normally see otherwise in other places. Sorry. Sometimes I do that. Even when I'm talking. But like just being like my genuine self. Even on the entrepreneurial side too, because even before I was a therapist, I was a missionary for another organization where I had to raise money on my own, and even that like was stressful because I was asking people for money, I was hoping they would follow through, and it's even kind of the same thing here. It's like you're just kind of hoping, hey, you set a session rate, you're hoping that they can pay for it even though they said they could. you're hoping their insurance is good, but it's all just like being able to kind of roll with the punches. Things come up. Some clients, they sometimes like insurances, like their co-pays will change, and it's like, oh, it was $20 last year, now it's $75, and it's just rolling with what they're willing to do. Yeah.
So I want to go back to, what was your first job?
My very first
Your
job?
very first job.
I worked at Myers. Do you know what Myers is?
I don't even know what Myers
See, you
is.
don't know Myers. See, like if you're from the Midwest, you know what Myers is.
It's like a feed store.
It's like a close. It's like a cool Walmart.
Okay.
So like my very first job, I was pushing shopping carts. Like people would like go shopping and they leave their carts out in the parking lot, and I would just go and like just gather all those carts. And then just I would do that for like 4 to 8 hours a day. And I was also like in high school too, so I was like playing sports, doing homework, just doing all the things high school students do. And if it rained, so to go out and do it, like, yeah, it was definitely an interesting time, interesting job.
Snow.
But yeah, snow. That's right. Even if it snowed, I had to go do it.
I'm a little ashamed to admit this, but sometimes in the summer, you know, when it rains every day for like an hour in Central Florida, I'm gonna get beat up online for this. I will be the guy that leaves my cart in the Costco parking lot. Because it's raining, I've got kids. But now as a grown up, do you like if you see a shopping cart like in between two spots, does it just drive you nuts?
Oh yeah, especially if they leave them like right in the parking spot and the car can go there. I'm like, dang, dude. And then it's like if it's in the parking spot and then like right next to it is like the cart thing, I'm like, dude.
I would never do that. Just you know.
No. Oh yeah, people do that all the time.
Yeah.
But
you seen the videos of people where they knock on the window and like, is this your cart? And the person's like, yeah. And they're like, all right. And they put it behind their car.
No.
Yeah.
I kind of want to now, but that's funny. I could totally see that happening.
So first job, you're shopping cart attendant.
Yes.
Shopping cart technician.
Yes, there we go. Technician.
And then how did you get to Central Florida then?
I originally wanted to go play football at UCF.
Okay.
That was my original plan. But I wasn't good enough to like have a scholarship to go on. So I tried to get in like paying in-state tuition prices. So I came down here, lived with a family member in Geneva.
Way out there.
Way out there. She was like in the sticks, dude. Like for real. Did that. And then I was at an Italian restaurant, like washing dishes 50 hours a week. You had to make a certain amount of money back then. I don't know what the rules are now, but back then you had to make a certain amount of money. And then every year you have to like apply. And it was these weird rules. Like you had to have your own health insurance. Your parents couldn't claim you on your taxes.
To play football?
To have in-state tuition.
Oh, to have in-state tuition.
Yeah, because I didn't have a scholarship to go. So I didn't want to pay out of state and play football. Which out of state, which I don't know what it is now, but back then out of state was like 4 times as much as in state.
It's still pretty
high. Dang, yeah, that's crazy. So I was washing dishes 50 hours a week, working out, and just like trying to do this thing for a year. And at the end of the year, I took one class at Seminole State. I was delivering pizzas and washing dishes, and I remember I paid for that class out of state tuition with like cash. Like I pulled out a wad of like pizza, like delivery pizza money, just like, here, we'll pay for this class. So I took that class.
What was the class?
I don't even know. I don't even know. That's what's even worse. I don't remember what the class was. It had to be some like English. I don't know, something stupid. But I paid for that class out of state with pizza delivery money and dishwashing money. Took the class, and then at the end of the year, they said, hey, so we implemented this new rule where if you pay out of state tuition anywhere in any school in Florida, you could never qualify for in-state tuition at UCF. And I'm sitting here like, I took one dang class.
Yeah.
And I didn't even take a loan out or write a check for that matter. Like just
It was literally cash.
literally just cash.
It was a drug deal of a credit
Pretty
hour.
much. Yeah. I mean, it could have been. But like, I just remember being so defeated and just being like, gosh, this plan like did not work. And I remember thinking, well, I could go back to Michigan, probably pick up where I left off, but I just felt like that wasn't what was God calling me to do. And so, but in that year, and this is where I think God was showing me that like so many good things were happening. Like I was getting involved in church, I was making friends, I was working really hard, things that were not going on in Michigan. I was like having lunch with my pastor. Like that was never happening where I was growing up. And he said, like, you can't like totally call this year a waste with all this good stuff that happened. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. So I ended up doing Liberty Online.
Okay.
And at that time I was like, man, I'm really going to do like youth ministry. I feel, because before I was going to be a teacher.
I can see that.
Yeah. Like I really loved doing that. And then I wanted to, I was going to do teacher, then got involved in church and was like, man, I really love this youth ministry stuff. So I went to Liberty Online, and they actually have a bachelor's in youth ministry you can get, but it's residential. And I'm like, I don't want to go live in Virginia after I just figured out I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So I got a degree online, and it was a bachelor's in Christian counseling.
Okay.
Which counseling wasn't even on the radar then. And they were like, hey, this is the next best thing. It's all online.
What was on the radar? Because you came here for football.
Being a therapist.
Just being a therapist.
Yeah, it was not even on my radar. So I'm like, cool. Like, it's all online. I can pay for it. Like, whatever. So I do that.
Here, 1 second. I mean, so you said that being a therapist wasn't on the radar at this point?
It was not even a thought of a job I was going to do.
What were you thinking about?
I was thinking I was going to be a youth pastor.
That was just, okay.
That was the original.
And you were going to go to school at UCF and get your degree in what?
In teaching before that.
Okay.
And then I went to Liberty and did youth ministry. So I did that all online, still working. I ended up working at the church part-time and washing dishes the other part-time.
Is that Italian restaurant still around?
Yeah, it's by UCF. It was actually a really intense experience because I'm from like Michigan, where everybody's white. We all speak English. And then you went to this restaurant, and I was probably the only white person that worked in the back of house that didn't speak English.
You know, Anthony Bourdain, celebrity chef.
Yeah.
In his book, oh man, I can't believe I'm blank on the name of Kitchen Confidential.
Yeah.
He said that when he would go and tour restaurants after he became famous, if the staff spoke English in the kitchen, he did not trust the food was good enough. And he said it was just because they worked harder, right? These immigrants came over, they're trying to make a life for themselves, and they would work harder. And they had such a passion for food. Almost every culture has such a passion for food, where we Americans are like, is it fried? Great. You know?
Right.
You know, but they have such a passion for food. And so they would then pick up, all right, this is Italian. It needs to be the most flavorful Italian food you've ever had.
Yeah.
Right. You know, this is, Chinese food. I'm going to make this the best Chinese food ever. It's just different mindset, different culture.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I would agree. Like, the food there was really good. But it was just totally a culture shock. Just seeing all the different kinds of people and different kind of languages totally like rocked my world. So, and that's where I kind of learned, like, I had to kind of figure out, okay, this is kind of the culture. This is kind of how everybody is. I just need to like kind of adjust appropriately. Some of them, like, some people in the restaurant and hospitality tend to drink a lot. So, and I just feel like that is just something that I kind of had to wrestle with a lot. Like, I drank a lot too, but also just kind of had to balance between, like, okay, I'm going to do this youth ministry thing, but I also can't, like, be someone who is, like, of the world, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be living two lives.
You can't be a raging alcoholic.
Right.
And then talking about how you shouldn't be a raging alcoholic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that was like, that was an interesting time because I was not being like my genuine self between those two roles. And if you are not like your genuine self, especially being an entrepreneurial, a dad, a mom, whatever, like you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
And even in this job I have now, like I have to really engage in who God made me and the kind of person that I am. And also trust that God will bring me the right clients that I need to see and that need to see me. And that's really hard because like there's such a niche out there for different kinds of like modalities or different kind of like populations. And some people really like, they really want to see a woman or they really want to see a man. And I'm like, well, I'm not a woman. Never going to be one. So it's just really trying to hold on to who I am and who I was made to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you get your degree from Liberty Online.
Yep.
And then you have to go after a master's degree for this, right? That's the first.
Right. Yeah. And counseling really wasn't even on my radar when I was looking for full-time youth ministry jobs. I remember I worked at a church and they're like, hey, you think about getting your master's or your MDiv? And I said, I will never open another textbook again for as long as I live. And I'm like eating those words now, of course.
Yes.
But it was just like, I just thought, hey, I'm good. I've arrived. And I just felt like working at all those churches, they were so like, numbers driven, which there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah.
That's just not who I am. Like, I'm not going to like put on this huge production to like attract thousands of kids or even try and take kids from like other churches or even like, just try and like be something I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I really love teaching the Bible and I really loved leading like small groups and doing one-on-one stuff. And that just wasn't me. And so when I went over I started disabilities ministry in East Orlando. And when I started doing that, that's when I was like, okay, I love like developing leaders and developing people and just working with like kids with disabilities and partnering with parents. Like that stuff I really liked. And there were other elements of that youth ministry that they're all about working with high school students or they're all about working with middle school students. And I just felt like we're called to like get to know everybody in the family unit. Which is why I really struggled with that. Cause like they were back to like numbers and some people just wouldn't like, I had some people on my team that wouldn't even talk to parents. They would like almost, oh, the parents here and like freak out. And I'm just like,
Grown-ups.
dude, they're right. They're grown-ups. And I'm just like, guys, they're just here. So I would go over. So I'll be the one to talk to them. And so I felt like that training has been lacking for a lot of youth ministries across the country, probably. But I think but it's also like there's the parents too. There's parents that don't want to be involved. They just want to drop their kid off or leave or make their kid walk, whatever. So it just depends. Or was I forgot where I was going with that. But like, I felt like I was really engaging with like dads a bunch. So I just found myself again engaging with parents, engaging with one-on-ones. And then I felt like youth ministry was missing like a counseling aspect. And this particular organization was like, no, we don't do that. And I was just like, yeah, but we could though. It's like, no, we don't do that. So we ended up parting ways and I went off to grad school.
After you said you would never crack open a textbook.
After I said I'd never crack open a textbook. It's another thing too, never say never, because you just never know what's going to be needed.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of like going to grad school, like we had our first daughter, like literally like the first semester we had a kid, which was a wild ride too.
How long had you and husband together at that point?
We got married in 2018, And then this was 2021.
Okay.
About 3 years.
And so what was she doing at this point?
She was a student advisor.
Okay.
Yeah. She was working with like online master's degrees, PhD students. She really wanted a family, and I felt like no, like I need to get this master's degree done. And then that like Thanksgiving in 2020, it was like, hey, I think I'm gonna take a pregnancy test, and I'm like, okay, like whatever. And then it was positive, and then like 5 tests later, oh, they're all positive. Oh, great.
Congratulations.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I'm like, great. We had all these plans, and again, like just trying to pivot and just be like where focus on the things in front of us and just taking one step at a time. But I still felt like I even had people be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't like do the grad school thing right now. Like you're about to have a baby. And I just felt like God was like, no, like I put this in front of you.
Yeah.
I put this daughter in front of you. Like this is what you're going to do. And even for grad school, I didn't want to take out any student loans. I knew we weren't going to afford it. So I ended up raising the money like I did when I was a local missionary, like just asking people for money. And I raised all the money I needed to go to school, which was another like just crazy God thing because like, you know, not everybody does that.
I was going to say it's a very bold move to ask people for money. I think a lot of people are very uncomfortable with any topic of money, right? Especially even in ministry, right? Like,
right.
You know, there's entire churches that don't talk about tithing at all because it freaks them out.
Right.
But I would say that it's surprising the people who do ask or do bring up the topic, how frequently that normally works, right? And I mean, a story in one of mine is, you know, we had our business and we were doing a refinance and I had to come up with $100,000 for the refinance. It's like, all right, I had to sell a part of my business, right? And the first person I texted was a good friend of mine, and I told him how much I needed, and his text back was like, where do I wire it to? And I was like, shook. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's
like,
wild.
And
That's cool.
He's like, well, yeah, I know you and I know what you're made for. And like, I know you're going to pay me back if this was a business loan. So it wasn't like I was just asking him for 100 G's.
Yeah.
But I don't think people lean into their network and their friends and those who love them enough and trust in them to fund their dreams. Right.
Right.
In your case, you weren't asking for a business loan, but like people were investing in your future. And I would imagine that a lot of people did it because they knew what you were going to do on the other side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was really blessed to just have a lot of people really just believing in what I was doing. And they knew me really well. And, I felt like I just was able to like cast vision about like what I was trying to do. And I think that's what really got a lot of people to like kind of buy in and believe. But yeah, it was really powerful. 'Cause I had a lot of people who were believing in me when I was like doing the special needs ministry. And when I told them I was going over to this, they were like, yeah, no problem. Like we'll totally switch over. So that wasn't even that big a deal. So it was just cool how like these people were truly giving, and even like what you said with your friend is just like they were really helping and giving to you, not to whatever business you were doing, because they believed in you, they believed in me. It's powerful. And so just having that like core group of people around you that can believe in you and be praying for you too is just huge.
Could you talk, you know, from a guy who's gone to school a lot longer than I and a lot more technical things, how important is it to have a core group of people around you? Because you know my story, but you know when Taylor went through her breast cancer journey, I didn't have any guys around me, and that's hence the Dad Fight Club came out of that. But how important is it to have that core group for your mental health?
Man, it is really hard to do it without a group. And impossible is not quite the word I would use, but it is like you do not have a good chance of either accomplishing your goals, keeping your sanity, keeping your marriage together, Like, it is really hard to do any of this by yourself. But just having that group of guys, friends, whoever, to just kind of be there to bounce ideas off of, or even like just like, hey, I'm having a hard time with this. What do I do about it? Like, just having just some sort of non-judgmental, unconditional, positive regard circle that you can go to that will just kind of help listen to you and guide you. And even having circles of guys or people older than you that are just a little bit smarter than you and are going along the path that you are going on. That's just why, like, it's so valuable, like whatever business you're doing or whatever you're starting, to just have a few people around you who are either doing it or have been doing it for a long time. I have a great supervisor. She's been doing this a really long time, and she just, like, every time I have a question, she's just like, boom, you should do this, or we can do this or that. And it's just great to have someone like that to have your back. And even having like coworkers or people like similar mindsets around you who are also doing the same thing, and even people that are a little bit different than you. Not to get like political, but even like conservatives and liberals should be talking to each other about these things. Because if you just have the same kind of people around you, you're just like not, you're just going to have an echo chamber and just hear the same thing over and over again. And it's just not going to be helpful. Like, you need to be challenged on your ideas, but also you need to be encouraged when things are getting really hard.
I was very deliberate when we put together the Fight Club that I didn't want it to be a men's group. Right. Yeah. I wanted it to be a bunch of different folks. Most of us believe in God. A few don't. Some have very different philosophies on life. Mm-hmm. But we're all good dads. Yeah. Or at least trying our best to be good dads. I wanted to ask you, in most jobs, there's stressors, and you take things home from work with you and you get upset. And, I used to work in the emergency room, and I'd leave with a lot of the trauma that I'd see from the ER. But those were few and far between, right? We might have a code every couple of days that I was a part of. And half the time it was abscesses and colds and antibiotics and, all that kind of stuff. You spend almost every single day dealing with trauma. And so not going to talk about your patients or anything like that. It's all out of scope for the conversation today. But how do you do that? Like, how do you not go home and just lay on your couch and just like hate the world?
Oh man, that's a good one. I give myself a lot of grace because there are just some things in the world that are just not fair. Like, you and I can agree that there are just things in the world that are not fair. And also just giving myself permission to, like, not totally shove those feelings down, but at least to feel like a little bit. But also just giving it to God. So whenever I get home, I don't like immediately like walk in, unless there's like an emergency or something. I gotta get in there real quick. But I just sit in the car, and just sit in the silence and just really pray, like, God, just asking Him to to give me peace, and just having like good rhythms of self-care as well too. Like, even like doing that, maybe it's even like scheduling a break in the middle of the day. Because we can just be go, 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 go. But if I don't like, hey, I'm going to block out this hour, 2 hours to just relax, take a nap, go work out, like, it's going to be difficult to maintain what I'm doing. And so fortunately, like I have some gaps in my schedule usually, so I can just be like, all right, this hour I'm just going to go for a walk or whatever. Whereas, like, if you're in sales, it's like you gotta, like, okay, I'm not going to do any marketing, I'm not going to do any emails or phone calls. Like, I'm just going to block out this time, and I'll just be between me. That's just for me. And so I just do a lot of like self-care, sitting outside, smoking a cigar, having some whiskey or whatever. And then just also like just having really strong family at home too. That can just kind of be like, I can just be like, hey, I had a really bad day. I need like 15 minutes to just take a shower or whatever. And just
shout out to Kelsey for being
shout out to Kelsey. That's right. Yeah, she can. And we do that both ways too. Like sometimes she's had a really bad day.
I mean, you guys have like a billion kids, so I mean, she needs it. She needs some self-care and time away as well.
Right. Yeah. And we just had one who's 3 months old, so he's like
billion and one. Yeah.
Billion and one. Yeah. We have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 2-month-old, and it's pretty much 24/7.
Yeah.
Just anything's going on. The 2-year-old will just be like, we'll be watching a movie, and she'll just stand up and like just leap off the couch, like, like she'll just like be sitting on the couch, and I'm like, Sutton, what are you doing? Just leap off, or like she'll be in the other room. It'll be quiet, and Kelsey and I'll be like, it's too quiet.
Silence with kids is never
peaceful. A good thing. Yeah. Never.
Or when you're like, what are you doing?
Nothing.
I gotta get
Wait
it right
a minute.
now.
Hold on. But yeah, and also just like, because sometimes she needs like a break too, and I'm just like, okay, like, you get an hour, I'll get an hour. So communication too, like just communicating, and just being able to receive that well, because like when I come home, I have no idea what happened all day. She has no idea what happened all day with me. It's just being able to communicate and receive and support is like going to be huge. And especially like being an entrepreneur, just because you just have some days where everything went to crap and nobody called back or nobody signed or whatever. It's just rolling with it. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm interested. Do you get to work at home at all?
I'll do like admin work at home.
Okay.
But I can't like see clients at home.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have this similarity to me, but sometimes I'll, for part of my consulting work, I have my office at home, so I'll close the door and I'll be on video calls. And I learned very early from working from home that I needed those noise canceling headphones, especially with boys, because you have all kinds of stuff going on the other side of the door. And, it'll be like, Mom, come wipe my butt, right? And it's like the middle of a very important pitch I'm giving.
Yeah.
And so learned very early on to have noise canceling headphones. But I'm curious, do you feel more, I've heard this from other entrepreneurs, but when they found the thing that they were supposed to be doing, even if it was an exhausting thing, they felt recharged by it. And do you feel the same way about your job?
Yeah, I would say I don't feel that like all the time. Like I do have like some tough.
There's the nature of your job has some heaviness to it.
Yeah. But there are like, if I have a really good session, there are times I'm like, man, this is what it's like shooting up. Like it's like so good. But even like doing admin stuff does not recharge me. I really love learning. So anytime I can like get in like a class or something where someone like I do. So right now I'm like working on my Santry certification. There are 10 levels and I'm doing level 3 in a couple weeks. And I'm like so excited because the lady who leads it is like been doing this forever and just so knowledgeable. And I love to just sit at the feet of these older people and just learn. And so that gives me energy too. And then like just finding ways to recharge and not so much like it goes back to like that self-care piece of just learning to like just take care of yourself and finding things that motivate you to do those things. Yeah.
I read this great headline the other day in a newsletter of all things, but the headline was how to choose what to stress over.
That's pretty good, yeah.
And I was like, that caught my attention. And I'd love to ask you, how do I choose what to stress over?
Oh man, that's pretty good. I mean, it's definitely like I think it goes back to like what your priorities are. Like if your family is your priority, stress over your family. It's just, I think that's how I would answer that. Is like, what is the most important to you? What gets you out of bed?
Yeah.
And motivates you. And like, there are things like we need to do in our jobs, but also things that like we don't want to do that we still need to do. Like I have to write like notes after every session. And I'm like, this sucks. And sometimes, especially if I'm like back to back, I won't get to do it till the end of the day. So it's like, all right, here's 6 notes I got to bang out right now. Which AI like helps with that, but I still have to like read through it.
Yeah.
Because then it'll say some like crazy stuff. But also like just stressing about like, how do I provide for my family? And if I don't do my notes properly and Blue Cross Blue Shield audits me, it's like, hey, your notes suck. We're going to pull our contract or remove money we sent you. Like that doesn't provide for my family. So like I stress over that, or Aetna or Cigna or like, which fortunately they haven't done. But they're allowed to. Not like take money away, but if they want to like see my notes for some of their clients, they'll do it. But I think that I would always go back to, okay, how am I providing best for my family? And also like if I'm doing a job I hate doing and I bring that home, like that's not providing either.
Yeah.
That's just like, that's stress on top of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious because, it's like, you ever heard the talk about like, you shouldn't see a dentist who has all of his teeth are rotten out.
Right.
Right. How do you feel like you've cultivated a good headspace? Right. Because being a dad's not easy. Mm-hmm. Right. Doing this job, I could never do this job that you do. Being a husband is tough. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we already talked about how you kind of you do take home some of the stressors of this, but what are some methods besides the, scheduling the self-care time? Do you come into the day and try and set, I love golf, so I think like a swing thought, right? What you're thinking while you're going through the motions.
Yeah.
Do you have a remarkable headspace all the time?
Short answer, no, definitely don't. But I always try to like prioritize like my self-care and just having like my headspace clear. Like even today, well, most days I usually try and get here a little early because I know it's quiet. It's not quiet at my house at all. And if I try to find a quiet place in my house, they'll find me. So but I try to get somewhere a little bit early, have some coffee, just kind of sit, reflect on the day. And then like, if something happens, like if I find out something happens at home or something I'm dealing with outside of work, it's just kind of like that has to be suspended for a little bit. And like, I'll put that to the side and then zero on who I'm working with. Because at the end of the day, like that issue is still going to be there, whether I am working all day or not. And so just kind of learning to put that to the side, but also knowing too that like it will get handled. I know you're here. It's a speaker. It's fully charged. And it's letting me know.
That's an interesting.
Usually stops by now.
You angered it.
I think I did when I inflected. But yeah, that's kind of how I deal with that. And even sometimes too, it's like there are people I really like working with, which fortunately in my role, I have the freedom to kind of pick and choose who I want to work with. And if I don't want to work with them, like I can just go, hey, like this really isn't working out. I don't think I'm a good fit. And it's not even so much like I don't like them. It's just more like, hey, I can't help you. Which ethically, according to our ACA codes, like if we can't help somebody, we cannot. It's unethical for us to keep seeing them, even if they're paying like $500 a session or something ridiculous. Like it's unethical. So at that point, I'm just like, okay, like we're not getting anywhere. I think I have someone else you might like seeing, which I've had to do. And like it's all about just helping people take their next steps on who they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I I do the business coaching thing and I'm sure there's some clients I've talked to where it's like, I could probably collect a nice paycheck, but you're doing all the things that you should be doing. So I'm just personally not going to do that because it doesn't feel right to me. But then you read about some of these coaches and they're like, I made $100,000 this year from this client. Right. And I worked 1 hour a week, and it's like, I don't think that's the right move to make.
Right.
It just seems inauthentic to me. And I think in your role in this business, to your point earlier, it's about being authentic, right?
Right.
And if I can't help you, I'm not going to pretend to help you.
Right.
So interesting that's come up. I'm just curious on like, where does the future go? What does your future look like, right? Where does this grow in terms of a business, right? Because you've got your 2 offices here. You'll be no longer an intern, which I always find is a very interesting word that you guys use.
It's ridiculous,
right? Like
yeah, we probably need a whole other meeting
just talk about that.
How that's gone to like the governor and how it's like they're like voting on it the next few weeks. Not next few weeks. A few weeks ago they were voting on it, and of course like it won't pass. But there was this push to change our title like associates, which to me makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird.
I mean, they've even changed like, back when I worked in the ER, it was physician assistant, PAs. Mm-hmm. And they changed that to physician associates because assistant just didn't really match. And I think intern to me, I'm thinking a student.
Right.
But you're like fully licensed and capable to help people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pre-licensed, but still like, people are like, oh, good luck the rest of your internship. And I'm like, thanks.
This is actually my job.
Yeah, this is actually my job. But I just have decided, maybe this is getting the second podcast right now, but but I've just decided, I used to like I was like pushing it too. Like I was sending emails and like emailing Rick Scott and all that. And, but now I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to let my work for myself. And if they pick me over someone else then kudos to me.
Yeah.
So
what does the future of your business look like? What's on the horizon?
So my hope is so where we're at right now, there's like a bunch of offices.
Yeah.
And like there's like a main one. So my hope is to like someday, what you can do in this job is you get licensed and then you do that for 3 years and then you can be a registered qualified supervisor, and where you can oversee like interns and students. And my goal with that is to collect more registered interns that are kind of doing what I'm doing right now, and help them take their steps to like find clients, build their counseling practice, and when they're licensed, they will go on their own. Either go, okay, you can stay here and have a better fee split with me, or you can go out on your own. So basically, it's to build a team that I'm collecting a fee split from them, and they're seeing clients and doing their own thing.
So after all of this, you're going to be a teacher, basically.
Look at that. Yeah. I never thought about that, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. Except making a little bit more than a teacher.
But it all comes back around to you like to lead. That's what it is. but you're not, and I've known you for almost a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And never once in any of the conversations where I was talking about something I'm doing or thinking about doing, have you ever said, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z. You've always been the friend that's like, have you thought about, and then I'm like, man, I'm so smart. I just thought about this. And it's like, and I've done some retrospect while I was prepping for today. And I was like, man, a lot of the ideas I've had have come out of a question that Keenan just drops in casual conversation.
I mean, sometimes that's like the best way is to like kind of ask, just kind of stir people's brains around and just ask the right questions for them to arrive at their own conclusions, because it's way more powerful. And that's what I hope to do someday as I build a team and equip other therapists to do that. Yeah. So that's kind of my hope, is to keep thought-provoking people.
So for people who may watch or listen to this and they're not in the Central Florida area, maybe their insurance isn't taken by you in the office, what resources, books, podcasts, what should people be listening to kind of cultivate that mental garden, to build their resiliency? What's your go-to recommendations?
I would say Psychology Today posts a lot of really good articles.
Okay.
Both like with kids, with families, mental health stuff. I would also recommend, like, there's this book I recommend to all the men I see called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover.
Okay.
It's really good. It's kind of like getting out of that nice guy syndrome. And there's a few others, like Atomic Habits. We've talked about that a bunch. By Jordan Clear, right?
James Clear.
That's a really good book.
Just the opening of that book, the baseball story.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not a big nonfiction reader, you read that first chapter and you're like, I have to finish it because this guy took a fastball to the face.
Yeah. Right. I also have a blog. I have my own blog that I write about mental health stuff, Mindful Reflections.
How did I not know that?
I don't like advertise it much, but it's there.
All 7 of my followers are gonna
Yeah. I have that one. You can go to, I also have a website, KeenanCrowley.com. I post stuff there. But yeah, those are like the big ones. Jordan Peterson also has a lot of good podcasts too. Trying to think. I also listen to the Play Therapy podcast because I do a lot of play therapy with kids.
Okay.
And they post a lot of good like parenting stuff in there too.
Okay.
So yeah, those are like my go-tos.
Do you ever catch yourself when you're parenting your kids and you're like does the counselor Keenan like pop into your head and be like, oh, you actually should do it this way? Or
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I have to like turn it off because like they don't need the counselor, they need their dad.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yep, I need to be dad right now. Like, we're not gonna like play in the sand and be like, oh, tell me what this means. It's like, no, go to your room. Like,
yeah. It's so funny you say that because we were having this conversation, one of my dad friends and I this past week, about how when we owned our business, my wife would go every couple Saturdays and spend some time with our employees and work and whatnot, and the boys would stay with me. And I'd sit down and do some writing on the laptop or read a book, or make big breakfast for me and the boys would just self-entertain and play and do their thing. And then other Saturdays I would go to the shop, and when I came home, it looked like a tornado had ripped through our house, and my wife would be like, I need to go outside for like an hour. Right. And it's like,
right.
Man, what's the difference there? And I realized that I inadvertently started to channel my grandfather, and I do the glasses thing and look over the glasses,
Yep.
or I'd be like, hey, the boys straighten up, and it's like, huh, all right, he's still in there a little bit, right? But sometimes I do catch myself when I'm getting angry at them. I'm like, all right, what would the perfect dad do in this situation? And I've asked myself that question a ton.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's I don't do that. Right.
Yeah.
And I do send my kids to bed without finishing their dinner. I do let them come back and finish dinner, but I make them think that they're going to bed.
Right.
They'll probably talk about that in therapy someday. But my last question here is it's actually on the topic of grace, and I'm glad that you brought that up earlier. But for those of us, and obviously this podcast is more on the business front, but I think your episode is really the business of the mind. And I'm curious, I think no matter how good our parents are, this is my own personal opinion and philosophy, no matter how good my mom was raising me and my stepdad, there's always some trauma that they're going to impart. I know there's trauma that I'm going to impart on my kids that I don't mean to. How do we not give ourselves a pass, but any recommendations on how I reconcile that as a dad who's cognizant that some of the ways I'm parenting is going to cause some emotional stress for my kids?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like, I had like 5 thoughts come to my head at once. Like, you are not your parents, you are you. And so you have the ability and the opportunity to set your family in a different direction. You also know what not to do. Like, you're kind of like, okay, my dad did that, I'm not doing that. And so also just recognizing that, like, you have a clean slate and this is your opportunity to pick and choose what your parents did that you liked and take out the stuff that you didn't like. Because when your kids get older, they're going to do the same thing. They're like, man, my dad did this, I'm not doing that. But my mom and dad did this, we're going to do that. And so I think that's just trying to do a little bit better than our parents did. But also giving grace that they were doing the best that they could. And not totally, like, putting it all on them. Because it is your responsibility now.
Yeah.
Because you are in this position.
I'm in a position now where what trauma I did receive, I can go and see someone like you and work through that.
Right. Exactly.
And break that chain.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you know this story, and I'm open with this, but, after Taylor had her cancer journey, I started seeing a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And those first few sessions, I was like, this is garbage. Like, I feel just as bad as I did previously. And it was one of those questions where my therapist asked me something that was super generic and I felt like very open-ended. And I just broke down, dude. Middle of the session, just broke down. And I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm better. And she goes, no, we're just getting started.
Yeah, we're just getting, yep.
But I think anyone and everyone could benefit from sitting down with someone who's well-trained and educated and just talking.
For sure.
Right? And just talking. But so people know where to find you. Any last parting words of advice?
I think we're all just trying to figure this whole thing out, life. And so we have to give ourselves grace as much as, like, giving the people around us grace. And so, like, just everyone's doing their best.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my last piece.
Well, man, I am grateful for you as a friend, as a brother in Christ. I'm grateful for all the advice that you've given me, even inadvertently, through Men's Theology and the Dad's Fight Club. I love when I see you post something and it's about your business, or if someone posts on Facebook and they're asking for recommendations. It's always my favorite thing if I'm the first one to comment and tag you. It almost feels like a little bit of a game now on Facebook. But I really appreciate you, and I just want to make sure that's out there. And thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
It was really good.
Next time we do this, big leather couch.
Let's go.
All right,
Let's do it.
And that's it, guys. That's the pod.